we'll do a proper greeting. Yeah. So imagine we're in a live sitcom. Yeah. So in 3, 2, 1.
Alien!
Ano to? Saturday afternoon live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special video presentation by the G3 Podcast. Guys, I'm with Notch, of course, Captain Mike over here. And joining us today is a very awesome time for us to talk about something we all love, which is, tabletop. And to my left is Mr. Ron Villaver.
Hi everyone.
Hello. And of course, Freddie Tan.
Hello.
We're at Neutral Grounds, Vertis North. Yeah, I'm not going to mess that up. And we're here to talk about the various games that are right in front of us, but particularly one game that has just been released, and that is Plataporma.
Plataporma. It's the smallest game. It is the smallest game in the selection.
But the most relevant one today, during this time, right? Yeah. And we're going to talk to them about it, just give us a little bit of idea of how it came to be. And then we'll do an actual game. You see him from Variable Play, if you guys watch the live streams. Tell us a little bit something about that, and how did this baby come to fruition?
To arrive to this one, you actually need to start with my first game ever that was published in the Philippines. It's called Codes and Verses. We published this 2015.
Yeah.
And a year later, we had our elections. And I conceptualized the first edition of Plataporma way back 2016.
Wow. Okay.
At that time, it was because I presented it to Sir Freddie and hey, it looks good, but it is also very scary to print.
At the 2016 era.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what happened was I went for it as a print and play.
Okay.
I released it online. People can still download all of the files. They can make their own.
Oh.
It doesn't look like this. It looks like a ballot. So it's black and white. It had the reader lines on the side, and it's a similar system, but it was just presented differently.
Right.
That was 2016, and the idea then was we wanted people to talk about the topics, talk about the current issues, and then add in your favorites, add in your favorite candidates, and also we mix in people that are not necessarily you could refer to real people. They could be fantasy, fictional characters.
Medyo open siya.
Yes.
Okay.
So at that time, we had Trump there, we had Batman, and we had
Trump and Batman, why not?
sure.
Running for office?
Yeah.
Why not?
Mayor Bruce Wayne.
Oh, there was way.
Exactly. And we even had a lot of Game of Thrones reference. So that first edition, I don't know if you guys remember, the person who was doing the sign language, she was trending at that time because she was running after all of the comments. So she was there and people recognized it. Then, of course, now people don't remember that fact. So, and we were even interviewed by, I believe, Channel 5. I'm not sure if they were not as eager to put it on prime time. So I think they aired my episode Sunday morning at like 5 in the morning. just to be sure.
Para lang safe.
Para lang sure na mahirap na. Oo. So, we were... So, throughout those years, I would update Plataporma because the system is very simple. There's an issue and you are pitching your candidates to the current voter of the round, and if you win the pitch, you get the point. And race to 3 points. That's it. That's how the game works. So I updated it a few times. There's a World Edition, there's a Teens Edition,
Nice.
and then finally, I think started last year.
Yeah.
Like, sir, I think I have the formula going, and also the way to print it. So that's how we went about it, and now we have this edition where it's a bit of a multi-use card. You have the candidate and the topic, and we also ensured that the colors were chosen carefully.
Yeah.
Ano yun? That's an important thing. Yung kulay.
Yeah, the colors are as neutral as we can get them.
Let me just put it out there. Medyo weird ang Pilipinas. Because colors are, universal eh.
Yeah.
Universal. And then, you
Yes.
have to choose between.
But it is the norm, or at least it's how
Yeah.
How it's trending.
Yeah.
how society is reacting. So
Yep.
just so we can have
Yeah.
we can reach more people. So we mathematically measured that such that this is both green and blue, and people can see it green or blue. So just so that it has that enough mix.
Yeah.
So we even entered the
neutral zone. We are Switzerland.
the neutral chromatic sphere.
Yes.
Yeah. Natuwa nga kami kasi when we the first time we put the picture up, someone automatically picked up on the color choices.
Yes.
Oh, the colors actually are very neutral. That just tells you how color sensitive people
Yes.
are now.
Right.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, Pilipinas, ang color sensitivity natin, hindi sa kulay ng balat, ang kulay ng t-shirt. Just this morning, before I left the house, I have to make a conscious decision to avoid certain shirts.
That's true. Kasi when I wore a red shirt, ang sabi sa akin, birthday mo?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's why you never go wrong with black. So, just wear black.
And syempre, feeling.
Oh, yes. We look
Pero
smaller than we are.
the original Plataporma was also black, but there was also we did the research. There were also some sort of people connected also to certain groups. So because of that, we decided to really try to which spectrum can we, at least for now. But then again, in the future, if they say, hey, that's a neutral color and I want to be that platform, then wala na.
Yes. There's a lot of kasi like sabi nga ni Ron, the game's been designed since 2015. But even then, nung time na yun, I had some reservations because the game had a lot of proper specific,
Full name.
very specific full name.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that because dahil full name siya, parang that's really that person.
Right.
Diba?
Yeah.
So, even if the game itself doesn't have an opinion on these people,
The person playing it night.
yeah, but it's a specific person pa rin eh.
Correct.
So, sometime during the pandemic, Ron came up with the idea na why don't we just use like nicknames?
Nicknames.
And
So-
that gets us out of a lot of things. And the added bonus of that is, let's say instead of saying Donald Trump, you just use Donald.
Yep.
Donald can be
Or
Donald
Duck. Or
Duck.
Donnie.
Right. Donald
Duck.
Yen.
Donald.
It can be any Donald. Pwedeng yung Donald na kilala si Mang Donald.
It freed up.
It freed up the game
Yeah.
and it gets us out of that predicament of having the specific politicians in the game.
Correct.
It's taking my hardest to stop me from making jokes. Promise.
Hindi pa tayo naglalaro niyan.
Nag-iisip yung utak ko, parang ano kayo pwede ko sabihin dito? Pero ako may question ako. So, when ginawa tong card game na to, was there a period between 2016 onwards na parang you got stuck? It's like writer's block.
Right.
Oo, parang ganon. Parang writer's block.
It's in GitHub, so you can actually see all the commits and the changes that I did over time, and you'll see that the content is evolving through the years. But it always is like I would work on it, and then okay, that's good enough for now, and then a world event happens, and okay, I think I can make a world edition. And actually, in Board Game Geek, where all of the board game people have their database of games, I saw comments where other people from other countries said, "Hey, maybe I can do this for my country and use the personalities of my country instead of the ones there." So that one was pretty cool. So in terms of getting stuck, it was more of like a seasonal thing. In terms of the design, I think because it's a very simple game, the ideas back in 2016 still kind of applies to the form today. I think the only ones that we were experimenting about is how do we handle larger player counts. So this one plays up to 10 players. But you can play it with just this copy. There's just an extended rules. There's a QR code inside the game, and it links to the site where you can find out how do you play it if you are at 10 players.
Do you think there will come a time na sabihin mo, okay, tapos na, it's not updated, this is as good as it gets?
Yeah.
I think the content of it can always be refreshed. So we collect all of the issues, and we vote up and down which are the issues that will go into the game. And so there's still a lot more that is underneath. During the pandemic, there's a lot of content here that is because of the pandemic. Hoarding of the medicine. There's content about the community pantries. So those are present in the game. And I think maybe 5 years down the road, that's not as relevant. Actually, this missed the Ukraine war. So that's not present in this game, and it was something we could have added, and at least people can also talk about that.
Yeah. So there is still a chance that you can still propagate this, having an expansion.
Yeah, definitely. The framework is very simple that we can easily add more content. Depends on how, of course, people will support the game.
Yes.
So please, it's only 200 pesos.
You are as opinionated as I am. Nako. Na-excite na ako eh.
Going back to the kung nagkaroon ba ng design blocks, I don't think it ever actually was a design block. It really was a challenge na can we actually publish this and not get into trouble?
Yeah.
Because of having having names of actual people.
I remember
yun talaga yung problema.
One of our publishers laid out all of the cards, and then she went, "Okay, these will get you killed. These are okay." I'm like, okay, that's 80%.
That's half. tapos yung usually okay, lagyan natin sa box. Sama natin sa box. Binayit ako.
To be honest,
This is
it can still
But
be.
the thing is, people will always find something to point out. As
That's the point. That's the point. I mean, whenever you play something, even in video games, something political, or even reading comics. Let's say for example, Superman's son is gay. That's very political.
Yeah.
Very political. It's trending, and people, even the most excited of fans tend to say, SJW dating yan eh. Social justice warrior dating yan eh. Whereas, it's not really that. They're trying to change things with DC.
Right.
Yun ang point nila. It's not really about social justice, but it's really, we want to change it up just so that inclusion ang gusto natin.
Personally, I'm very, very opinionated. Like you said, you follow my social media, and I'm very opinionated on things. But I will not force my opinion on the company I work for, and the company I work with, and the people I work with. So, publishing something like very political would probably be not something I would do, even if I'm personally very opinionated. So I have to be more careful with something we publish.
Right.
And yung current incarnation is something na I think is neutral enough that the actual game itself doesn't have a political opinion right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Aside from the political opinions of the players.
And then the shenanigans that therefore occurs thereafter.
Yes.
And the beauty of this design right now is it actually forces you to look at the point of view of the voter, the people you're playing with, Diba? And which is not necessarily aligned with yours.
Which is a good thing, kasi it doesn't take that political view in the real world, and it makes it very, very accommodating.
Yeah,
in the game.
and it's a safe way to explore ideas with people you play with.
Right,
Na parang, hey, it's not me, it's the game, di ba?
Right.
So it's like all games are safe spaces where you can explore ideas and explore concepts na in the same confines of the rules. Na meron kang out. It's the game eh. It's not my di ba?
Yeah. I'm just playing to win, right?
I'm just playing to win.
Yeah.
So it
And-
allows you to explore that idea. That may not necessarily be, it's not something that's yours yet, pero it allows you to explore that.
Right.
It forces you to go to that point of view nung other person na you may not necessarily agree with.
Right.
Diba? Kaya actually, mas exciting to if you have people from different alignments
Yep.
Playing.
playing, and then how do I talk to this guy?
Agree.
Diba? Which is really a big problem right now. People don't know how to talk to each other anymore.
That's true.
True.
That's true.
Mhm.
The real point of the game naman kasi is really to have fun. Diba? I mean, it's political in its way, no? Pero it's really a way to have fun and talk about these things without being scared of baka patayin ako ng mga batang mga taga.
Without the pressure na pag may sinabi ako, automatically I'm attacking you.
Yeah.
Diba?
There you go, yeah.
It gives that discussion a safe space to happen.
Mhm.
And I've seen it happen na parang you don't immediately judge the person na ba't mo sinasabi yan? And I will be, in this game, I will be saying things that I don't agree with.
Right. Because it is part of the game.
Yeah,
Part
so-
of the game.
What I liked about the framework, it is true with the candidates. For example, you're not necessarily for that candidate, but that's the perfect candidate to address the current situation.
Yeah.
And you know that the voter that you're going to pitch to does like that. So now you are sort of appealing to that person and trying to figure out what works with them, why they like this candidate, and then use that as a way to pitch the candidate. But what happens though is that regardless of the candidate you're pitching, the topic is the same.
Yes.
You will still talk about that current issue, and that's what I felt that was the key contribution of this game, is that people will actually end up talking about the topics.
Each time we talk about this game, sobrang na-excite.
It gets to that point, like, simulan na natin. Give me a reason.
Simula nung nawakan niya kanina yung box kanina before we went live, talagang Chino is like,
Like, he was going through the cards.
I wasn't even looking at the cards. I mean, taking pictures, yes. Pero I wasn't browsing it, I want to
And
see
you have-
how it was
Yeah.
in actuality.
And you have ideas percolating already in your head.
Which gives them the advantage. Ang hirap, hindi maglabas ng joke.
Every time na magkagawa tayo ng political joke dito sa larong to, tataas na tayo ng alien. This is not your first game, I'm sure. And I want to know how it is when you were creating this versus Cotin versus, and of course, Folded Wishes. Kung di niyo po natatanong, marami na po nagawa ito si Sir Ron.
Yeah. Meron dapat pa before this, but global logistics issues ang wala pa tayo.
Yes. Yes.
Should have come out 2019.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So Cotin versus actually was it was inspired. I was attending church at that time, and there was just a moment where how can I make God famous? Okay, I'm a game designer, or at least I'm a gamer, and I think I can design games. What can I do? And that's pretty much very similar to Plataporma, because it's the 180-degree version of Cards Against Humanity.
Right.
So-
it's for humanity.
Yes, yeah. But the main driver when I was talking to Freddie about it is that there was no actual printing or game development or game publishing capability in the Philippines at that time. We had the mass market ones, but those are all ordered from China anyway. So in terms of local production, there wasn't any. So we had to be creative on everything. So the box, for example, we were working with the printer and they were like trying to figure out how to do the folds, because the cardstock of QNB is the same as the box.
Oh, really?
We were just being creative with how to.
Malaki talaga
So,
yan.
double fold lang yung box niya.
Yeah, it was they folded it back in to create the walls to create the box. So that was that.
Even the cornering of the cards is something that's not done.
We don't have the machines per se at that time to
Even now.
even now.
We really don't.
Actually,
it's kinda,
it's not really a cornering. They shave off in order to have the curved corners.
Curved corner.
Yeah. Which protects the cards from
Box edging.
yes. But so that was more of like a proof of case that can we do it in the Philippines? Can we start something? And that was the reason why, sir, here's the target market and here's the game design. You think is something we can explore? Fortunately, Sir Freddie said yes. Okay, then we got that out. And then after that, other games also Hugot, Darna also around that time. And then
Combatron.
Bagani.
I think we were talking about that the last time we had the talk, kind of like close like that. No, but I remember talking about Pawikan Patrol during that same conversation that we had in Top. Check out the video, if you're not busy. And then the Folded Wishes, and that came out, and this one went international.
Yes, so most of the games that we're designing under the Larong Atin design team. So we have Ludus Distributors as our publishing group, and then under that we have the Larong Atin as our sort of design brand.
Yeah.
For the local consumption, you can see sort of how the branding is designed. It's going to be very local art, something that's very appealing, or IP that is very known locally, or culture, things that Combatron, things that are very rooted to our culture. For things like Folded Wishes, which was an abstract puzzle sort of strategy game, it's not something we can easily sell to the local market. So this one had to go outside. And we always are working with foreign publishers to get our game designs also published, because again, international recognition in terms of getting a game out is also very valuable. So when Sir Freddie brought all of the games that we designed here, I actually did not see that he brought my game, because my game was, again, I like designing very compact systems. So this one, the original design can fit in a mint cans. So it can fit in that. So I didn't see that he brought it. I saw all of the other games that was there. Then he messaged me that, hey, they have a publisher that's willing to publish your game. Oh, okay, I didn't know you brought it. And then I looked back at that photo, and it was there. It was at the table. It was just really small. But then, so this is published by B&D Games, but it was picked up by another publisher, Card Lords, and it's in second print run.
Wow.
Globally. So first launched in Essen, Germany, then relaunched in Gen Con.
Essen 2019, tapos Gen Con.
Essen 2018.
2018, tama?
2019 Gen Con.
Yes.
And there was another 2020 release from Card Lords.
Take a look at this. This really looks nice, because when some of my friends saw this and they didn't know it was made locally. And they said, what is this? Hanafuda meets origami? Like, dude.
Actually, feeling ko from the look of the box, pag nilalaro mo siya, you have to have droplets of rain.
It's a very serene atmosphere.
Yung tipong wala kang pasok nun pagka suspended ng classes.
Let's play this.
Parang
feel good game.
Ganyan.
Although,
So after Plataporma.
Well, actually not really. The game is actually pretty cutthroat.
yes.
I was told though that it's very difficult.
It was not difficult, but rather it's punishing for, as players become better at it. It becomes chess-like to the point where if you're good at it, you're now just waiting for your opponent to make that mistake, and then you can win.
Yung lang ang medyo parang zen.
Yeah.
But actually, the gameplay is more Sun Tzu.
Especially if you're used to the patterns, so alam mo na yung mga patterns.
Right.
Yeah.
You can unlock new skills, di ba?
Yeah.
So, pag alam mo na lahat yun, parang
Right, it's like Go. Go.
Art of War.
Yes. So exactly, just like Go, where it feels very serene, but yes, definitely it can become quite aggressive. And this year, I published the solo puzzle rules for this. So now when you buy this game, you can actually just download the solo rulebook and you can now play this by yourself. I think that I have 4 levels of difficulty and probably around 3 variations that you can add to the game.
So while you played solo, you have to have the art of war book. So that, you practice some soon you...
Right. And if you can't answer the whole thing, just make sure you open Codes and Verses just to bring it back.
Agree. Actually,
Level you
after mo na folded missions, you don't wanna go hit plataforma agad. Ako may ulo eh.
Depende sa personality.
PNB mo na.
Give mo na, feel good mo na.
Depende sa personality mo. If you get tilted with folded missions and you want piece of paper, you go to B.
Right.
If you want more aggression, you go
Yeah, if you want
plataforma.
to feel more like, I'm so good, tara, plataforma naman tayo.
Pero PNB mo na, pero medyo relax ka lang eh. Ayos mo na.
Pop the brakes.
Do some self-reflection.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really, it's a really interesting twist of things because you first make Codes and Verses and that's a pretty feel good kind of game, like brings people together, and then it's highly strategic, and now both highly strategic and very relevant. Have you guys played with other people? What was the experience like? I know we're gonna experience this mamaya, pero what was the general experience when you play tested it with people? May nag-away ba? May lumabas ba na? Alam mo, diba? Parang pinipersonal mo yata ako.
Please tell us yes. Sana meron.
So surprisingly, wala pa ako nakikita so far.
Baka ito na yung first time.
Nagpersonalan. And I worked with kids, especially with this one, where I realized in the original edition, 2016 edition, the content was very my age, and I realized I had to also pick up the issues of kids. So when they're playing, like there's content here for crypto.
Oh, yeah.
So all of the oldies are like, ano tong crypto? And they'll discard it, but the kids are, oh, crypto! And that's what they're gonna pitch through. And then, I'm gonna use Elon Musk because he's gonna stonks that.
Very all-encompassing.
Yeah.
So the millennials will love this.
Yeah. So I think that is what worked with it. That it's the topics are wide and relevant enough. You may not necessarily know all of them, because it's not for your demographic. It's probably for another age group or a different demographic. But there's going to be content there that will appeal and work with you. And I think that's why it gives people enough breathing room to not focus on the personal angst, but rather, how do I convince him and how do I make a funny comment for
I
this?
actually know the perfect place kung saan pwedeng i-introduce talaga to. UP. May plataforma. Tignan natin yung gusto nyo sabihin.
Actually, I haven't played this na mayroon nag-away. I like I said earlier, I think the game itself creates a space
Of understanding, no?
na safe, that you can explore these topics without offending somebody directly.
And that's what we need right now.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
And unless there's personal beef going on between me and you.
Pag may history na talaga,
But,
tapos yung mga parinig mo, hindi na talaga about this game.
Hindi naman kasali yun.
Dapat folded.
Ito, Codes and Verses yun. Pag gano'n, parang medicine pala ito. So pag meron kayong mga personal issues between each other, yan, laro lang kayo.
Aggressive kasi gusto ko folded wishes.
If you want to kind of like put each other to the limit, then you play Folded Wishes. Pero kung gusto mo talagang just to let out of steam, laro tayo plataforma. Now, I want to go back to what we talked about a few years ago, is that what's really missing right now, and what tabletop game does, is it prevents you from your usual online toxicity. Try doing that across, in front of a table, in front of guys across you, and try to be toxic, and kung hindi ka ba naman masuntok talaga dire.
Yeah.
It teaches you a certain level of gentlemanly discipline, playing on a safe space where you can actually perform, win or lose, and still be very gentlemanly at the manner. And I think that's the lost art of being polite and courteous that we grew up with tabletop, and we can't do that online anymore.
I mean, just for one, you have to listen. So as the voter, you have to listen to everyone, and everyone also has to wait for each one to take their turn.
Right.
So just that, where you take a turn to actually listen to somebody pitch and hear them out, and then add your. So that's something we normally don't do anymore. We just want to reply. We just want to
We don't
comment.
listen.
We no longer listen.
Yun yung ginagawa natin.
At saka iba talaga yung iba yung dynamics ng online discussion. It's really weird.
Oh.
You see people doing stuff there that they would not do in real life.
Correct, true. Absolutely.
And then talagang, talaga, this person, ganito? Parang pagkausap kong bait-bait
It's weird eh. Parang they got the courage to be rude. Pero when pag harap-harapan, hindi mo naman makikita yan. And that's the sad truth, no? Ngayon, lalo na ngayon na malapit na yung election. It weirds me out na someone na magkaibigan can be enemies because my opinions or whoever I'm following isn't the same as who is following.
Right.
Yes.
Diba?
Yeah. People seem to forget that you can still get punched in the face.
Actually, we can all revert to that. Diba?
But that's barbarism, and they think that the screen will protect. But
And that's after folded wishes, barbarism.
Ano tingin mo sa akin?
Gagawa pa akong given.
Yun. You have the title now. Barbarism.
Kaya kay barbaridad.
Pero dapat bundled din with Q&A.
Pero ibang balance.
Balance.
So, Fred, I want to ask you just one last question. With the ever-growing number of locally made tabletop games, we were all excited to know this. Based on my experience with playing Combatron, being able to see who got at the time. Where can we go from here? Because we're all tabletop enthusiasts at one point. And sabi ko nga, the Filipino nerd is very unique. That you're not just a nerd at one thing. If you're a nerd or a geek, you've probably played Magic at some point in your life. You've played the family computer. You've played chess at some point, maybe not, or some sort of snakes and ladders, or you've read comic books or books, and that's how diverse the Filipino nerd and geek is. Where do we go from now, where we have these many titles? Are we still going to be? Is there a big mechanism that's promoting to create more? I mean, do we have a lot of developers coming, and how can we get into the help growing this community?
There's definitely some people who are doing self-publishing. Meron mga small runs. They'll print their own games. We're continuing. I'm constantly looking for games or ideas that we can publish. Right now, the industry itself is not that profitable, and that's probably why we really don't have any competition. But because there's really not a big market to share. The reason why we're still doing this is because I believe that the Filipino designer is world class.
Yes.
I'm not saying we're better. I'm saying na kaya natin.
We can compete.
We can compete globally. Diba? I'm not saying we're better, but we have a space na pwede tayong pumasok.
Yep.
Diba? Gusto ko nga magkaroon ng booth sa SN na Filipino games tayo.
Right.
I don't know how to get that done yet. Yun yung gusto ko mangyari eventually. But we do need to grow the base for tabletop games locally, and that shows in the kind of games we publish. Na like for example, yung QNV, yung first game nga namin na pinublish, we're targeting an audience outside of our immediate audience of geeks and like QNV. Sino yung target natin dyan? Churches and religious people, religious community,
connect groups, like groups.
So it's always like that. When we published Combatron, we wanted to reach out to the Combatron fans na alam namin marami. Di ba? Because we know that the local board game community actually by itself cannot support an industry, a local publishing industry. Especially with board games, when you're one barkada, you don't each buy a copy.
Yeah.
You buy one copy for say 8 to 10 people. Diba? So that immediately shrinks down the amount of copies you can sell. Plus, you have to think that not all gamers will like this particular game.
Right.
That's why we have to reach out to the our existing market ng ready board game players. That's why we do these kinds of games. Kaya ngayon, Folded Wishes, when I saw the design, sabi ko, uy, maganda yung design. But I don't know how to make this marketable to
Locally.
to people in the Philippines outside of the core market na meron tayo.
Yep.
So, we have to do this internationally. And thankfully, yung design, nagkaroon siya ng appeal enough na merong US publisher na hey, this is good. We'll do something about it. And actually, itong game nga na to, the team, we have nothing to do with it.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Talagang yung core design lang. Core design lang.
The original design is AI is waking up and you guys are trying to find the nodes where you can isolate the AI and then convert it to turtles moving around the shore and to starship delivery.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we kept changing because
and ducks in the row. Ducks in a row. It was everything under the sun. So,
we were always thinking, paano natin ito bibenta sa mga Pilipino? Diba? And we really can't, we can't wrap our heads around it. So, sige, dali na natin sa let them think about it. And then, yun nga, nag-swak naman.
Yeah.
Diba?
When they thought about, hey, and this is the first game that had these sort of checkered meeples. So most meeples are just the normal solid ones. So this one was the first one that had this look in the origami theme. We were all like,
Galing.
hindi namin naisip yun. Naisip na namin kung ano-ano.
Nice. Actually, for GT, ayun yung gusto talaga namin mangyari. I mean, there are a lot of Filipinos that are not aware of the pop culture world or universe dito sa locally. Like, we know of Katpulan, we know of Pugad Baboy, but not all of us know. Not them.
Yeah.
Hindi nila alam. Kumbaga tayo yung magicians, wizards of Harry Potter, at sila, mga normal na tao, mga normal.
If Kat is
Are
watching...
you calling them muggles?
if Kat is watching, if we do find a game design that you think will fit with your universe, we'll do it.
Alright.
Yes.
Narinig nyo,
Pero basically what I'm saying is, what we want to do in GP is we need to introduce or reintroduce the pop culture scene here in the Philippines. Siyempre, along with the comics that we read, with the games that we play, even game developers, di ba? Mga Pinoy game developers sila, Sir Ben Banta,
si Malapit. Yeah.
Lahat yan, we really wanna give highlight to them.
Kahit sabihin mo, alam mo na, pero when you venture into these tabletop games, comics, whatever, you get to learn something new in the process.
Right.
And this is the advocacy of to begin with.
Imagine if Plataporma is being bought by Filipinos outside of our country. That is internationally, di ba, reach talaga. Makalat yan eh. I mean, that's something that we want to happen. Not really to, cover the entire world.
Yeah,
Pero basically to let them know that Filipinos are at that level. Isipin nyo na lang yung mga comic book designers, comic book artists that are Filipinos that work with Marvel, work with DC. What if they came back here and do this here?
Right.
Diba? It's going to be something. It's going to be great.
Yes,
Very
they
exciting.
can work from home.
Yeah.
Diba?
Or at least hybrid.
Yeah,
We have to do this once in a while. This thing has to happen.
Exactly.
Okay, take us home, guys. So where can we get Plataporma and Protonverse and all the other awesome games? Just go to Neutral Ground, right? This is going for
200 pesos.
200 na ang Plataporma. We really priced it in a way that we're almost not making money because we feel that this game isn't really just for us to... Meron kaming gustong mangyari. We want people to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And we didn't want people to have an excuse na, ay, mahal. So, for 72 cards at 200 pesos, that's really, really cheap.
That is so cheap.
Yeah, so, of course, Pawikan Patrol has an advocacy.
Yeah.
And Larong Atin has an advocacy to, develop the local tabletop game designers, di ba? But Plataporma goes beyond that. Plataporma wants the Filipino to have a political discussion na hindi umaabot kayo sa level na nag-aaway kayo.
Tatawag ako ng Bo!
Yes!
Injo!
Unfriend,
Unfriend, block.
Yun, di ba?
So we could, is this going to be sold online? Can we get this online? Is there a way
Yes, right now it's available at ngspiel.com. ngspiel.com.
Yeah, we'll put that at the bottom.
Look under the Larong Atin category, and then you'll see Plataporma there. It's going to be the first game you see there because it's the latest baby of Larong Atin. So, doon, but you'll also see all the other games under Larong Atin there. And of course, there's several stores that carry it now. The better gaming stores. Okay, so it's there. I think soon it's gonna be on Lazada and Shopee.
Alam ko na, actually, alam ko na.
Added to cart.
Regalo ko sa mga...
Added to the cart.
Yeah, and at 200 pesos, diba, there's really no excuse.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys,
Actually,
add to cart too.
Added to the cart. Added to the cart.
Sabi nga namin, Ron left the link to the free print and play version online.
Yeah.
You can still do that, print and play, not libre, but why would you?
Exactly.
You have the updated version at only 200 pesos, diba?
Right.
So,
And pag siwertein kayo, malay mo, we could be able to get a signed copy.
Well, that's all.
Here's our copyright. Later on, tayo na lang. We'll be selling that for 450.
150 per card na may pirma. Ganun na collector eh.
Okay.
Captain Mike, not we have some final questions for Sir Freddie and Sir Ron.
Questions none, but I'm really excited to get into it.
Ako, what is the future of card games as we see it now? Kasi dumaan yung pandemic, di ba? Yung war, yung war sa labas ng Pinas, and the elections. What do you see now in the future of card games and tabletop games in general in the local scene?
In terms of, I think people are very hungry to get back to the table, especially with the pandemic. I think people are very eager to get back to the table, but they're also quite cautious because the reality is we're still wearing masks. We're still trying to keep a safe distance. We are still weary about how everything will pan out. So because of that, I think it's gonna be a gradual pace for people to get back into gaming.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of initiatives from Neutral Grounds to promote, meet up venues again. So we are here right now at Ventris North, and there's a event that you guys are doing twice a month called Tavern, and so it's tabletop at Ventris North, and we actually in Variable Play have finally got our go signal to do Bacon again. So Board Gaming Advocates Enthusiast Convention 2022. That's gonna be in Eton West End in Makati, April 23 and 24. So I think those are things that are happening now that communities are trying to put up meetup groups again, but again being a bit more cautious. Because the reality is, it's no longer as easy as before, where you just go to any coffee shop and let's just play.
Right.
They will question you because, it's something that they did not see for the past 2 years. So, getting a place where you can play safely, it's going to be a little bit tricky, but people are eager to get back to that. So we just need to, I think, get more of these events going until everybody can figure out the formulas that work for their places where they can work. They can play.
If you don't have, if you don't have an event where you can play safely, you can always go to neutral grounds. Right?
Yes.
especially ngayon na medyo polarized tayo, pagdating sa lamesa, yung mga tao, di ba? When they're playing Magic, they don't really ask sinong boboto mo.
Yeah.
Right. Or
They're more concerned about what's your deck, who's your
kung
commander,
sanitize ba yung deck?
sino bang commander mo, Di ba? So games will always play a part as a social lubricant for people.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's probably something that's going to be helpful and useful for people na meron ng have a hard time talking with other people about dahil kung ano na nung sinabi lang.
Every time na magsasabi kayo ng masama, isipin nila lang, Cult and Versus is available.
I totally agree. I mean, maybe it's time. I like that term, social lubricant. Maybe it's time to use that social lubricant. Come back in, play tabletop games again. It's been a while.
Yeah. Maraming hindi na marunong makapag-usap sa ibang tao dahil naglungga na sa bahay.
Correct. And then the only human interaction you will do is Bobo!
Totally we've tried playing virtually Magic. It's totally different. Ibang-iba. Mas masarap yung hawak-hawak mo yung cards mo and you're seeing yung cards ng kalaban mo and you say, bobo to!
Pero sa loob mo lang.
Ayun pero sa loob mo lang yun. Kasi after what on top of, you'll never go home in neutral ground sa masabaan loob. Unless pinasabog mo yung deck na. That's a different story. That's a different story. Or unless mag-folded wishes kayo.
No, the fidelity of the experience, the human experience, when you're face to face, is very, very different.
That's right.
When you're translating it online, and of course during the pandemic, wala tayong choice, so you make do. We did a lot of plays online, but it is very different, and we also had to shift what games we played because not everything naiwan na lang tayo sa mga maliliit na lamesa, di ba? Kasi, having small games like these, you can pack in your bag, put it in your pocket, nasa bus kayo, gusto mo maglaro ng plataforma.
Lalabas ka ng plataforma. Kuya, bakit gusto mo?
Traffic eh.
Ang mas nakakatawa doon, mananalo ka ba? Andiyan rin. Sige. Take us home, starting with Sir Freddie. What are your final words to the people who are watching right now, who are excited to get to these games, and what is your final word for the day? Yeah. Quote, your final quote and verse of the day. What is your final?
What do you want to share?
What is your plataforma, sir?
I think it's a very good time for people to start getting into tabletop games after being cooped up in your house for 2 years, and you need to grease your social skills when you're talking with people. When you need something to lubricate that situation. Tabletop games are perfect for that. So I think that's where we're coming from, and that's what we want to push. That's what we're advocating for, and I guess I'd like to end with that. Cool. Turn on.
Yeah, same. Definitely get back to the table. Of course, keep safe. It's still very important. Get vaccinated if that's something that you're agreeable with. But I think make time to play. It's something that's very important to our psyche. It keeps us, balanced, and try out all the games that we have. We have a good selection of local games. If you are a core gamer, and it's something that's maybe not too simple already for your taste, definitely maybe some of your friends that are not necessarily core gamers might be interested. This might be a good gateway for them to get into the hobby. So try these out, at least give them a shot and see if they can actually help you introduce your friends that are not necessarily into core gaming into the hobby, and then now you can also have them also try out your normal games, your bigger games.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is all the time that we are going to allow because we can't wait to move to the next step. Just remember, Plataporma, 200 pesos. You ngspiel.com, and then you go for the Larong Atin category and just look it up, all the selection of games. You can buy this for 200 pesos soon on Shopee and Lazada. And you can have your own Plataporma. Yeah? But that's it. That's it for our little session right now. It is time for us to assume the position, get on the table, and start lubricating because we are.
Weird ba't ikaw yung salita eh.
Minsan nagsabi, okay.
Weird kasi pag ikaw nagsasalita.
Iba na
Ba't
context
ganun
eh.
eh?
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to get to our gameplay of Plataporma. Yes. Let's start. Lubricate.